Good afternoon, I'm meteorologist Bailey Braun, and we're continuing to see some dry weather moving across from western Alaska into the interior. We're also going to see some rainy conditions moving into southeast and the Aleutians moving into Monday, so I'll take you through all of what you can expect for this work week. So with our weather headlines, we have our photo from Mount Redoubt, and we're going to continue to see some dry conditions like this only for the interior in western Alaska, though. We're actually going to have some cloudier skies starting to move in for south central as we progress this week. So with our headlines, we actually officially had our second latest first freeze on record for Anchorage. That took place as of this morning. We reached 29 degrees as our low. So those dry conditions are going to remain inland towards the interior and western Alaska, like I had mentioned. We also have a chain of low pressure that is going to start to move across the Aleutians. So that's something that you can expect for this work week. But with our latest first freeze on record, you'll notice that October 19th today, we had that happen. And then we're just a little less than, we're just a little over a month from what our normal first freeze is. So that typically happens September 23rd. We're a little bit past that, so that's something to keep in mind, but we're still a little off from our first latest freeze on record. So that's just something to keep in mind. I know I walked outside this morning and was kind of hoping it was going to happen because I did say it was going to. So I was glad to know that it officially came for Anchorage. But looking ahead with our upper level forecast, we're going to notice that there's a few low pressure systems moving through the Aleutian chain. We have our first low pressure system that's going to start bringing rain into the southeast corridor of Alaska, and this is also going to bring some cloudy skies into south central. But then you'll notice we have our other low pressure system just way out west in the Aleutian chain, and then progressing, we're going to notice that there's a third one kind of peeking in there just a little bit. You can kind of see, but I'll give you a better view of that with our satellite and radar. So there's that first low pressure system that I had mentioned. You'll see it's bringing in lots of moisture into southeast Alaska. It will bring in some moisture to south central, but only for areas like Kodiak and for the Copper River Basin as well. But then there's that second low pressure system just a little bit away from Unalaska that's going to start to move in. And as that moves in, it's going to bring some rain all the way through the Aleutians into the Alaska Peninsula, but it's not really touching western Alaska. Those dry conditions still remain out west and into the interior. And then we have our third low pressure system that's going to start moving in from the Aleutian Islands as well. So 3 low pressure systems in the span of pretty much 2 days. So that's kind of important to know. This is the fall season. That's when we have our fall storms rolling in. With our wind gusts, you're also going to notice that we have some of those rolling into the Alaska Peninsula with that first low pressure system pushing in, and then that's going to bring some stronger winds into southeast Alaska. And then our second low pressure system also going to bring a little bit of those windy gusts pushing forward, but it's not going to be anything super strong. Our highest wind gust that we're expecting is going to be about 45 miles per hour. So western Alaska is already starting to see a little bit of stronger wind gusts moving in, nearly 30 mile per hour winds in Bethel as of today, but then the Aleutian Islands seeing 47 miles per hour in Shemya, and then moving forward through the Alaska Peninsula, those 45 mile per hour wind gusts. So that's just something that you can expect to see going into tomorrow as well. Very similar wind gusts moving forward, but it's going to stay relatively dry for western Alaska. You're going to see no precipitation expected, but then we're going to see a lot more of that precipitation moving into southeast, and then also for the Aleutian Islands as well. So over an inch of rain in Ketchikan, and then nearly 2 inches of rain for Juneau, and that's something to look ahead to for Monday. We also have more of that rain expected to move through by Tuesday. So it is going to be a fairly wet week for southeast Alaska, and the Aleutians are also going to have a pretty rainy start to the work week. But as of speaking of precipitation, snow is something that you can expect in the interior. It's not going to be anything major, just traces of snow moving through, with 1 to 2 inches expected in areas like Stevens Village and Beaver and Circle, but otherwise just traces through the interior. But that's not really going to come through until about Tuesday, and that's kind of just what's moving through, since we have pretty much just dry air and high pressure moving through the center of Alaska, even into western Alaska as well. So that's why we're seeing those dry conditions moving through, and we're also seeing those cooler temperatures moving through. But southeast Alaska is still staying very very wet with those rainy conditions moving through, but temperatures are staying relatively close to 50 degrees, so still the warmest region that we're seeing statewide right now, but those rainy conditions are moving through, and that's something that's going to stick around throughout this work week. Interior Alaska is going to see those temperatures near 32 degrees, so we're going to see those near freezing temperatures, but Fairbanks is just sitting a little bit warmer than that. You'll notice that those low temperatures are sitting in the 20s, so it is getting a little bit chillier, and that's something that most of those regions that are expecting to see, including the North Slope, with those highs sitting in the 20s, with even Anaktuvuk Pass reaching the single digits for that low temperature. We do have some slight and light snow expected for Utqiagvik and Dead Horse, so those most northern portions of the state have a little bit of snow in the forecast, but not too much, just a little bit of a sprinkle of snow. Western Alaska is still staying dry with those mostly sunny to partly sunny conditions moving on through, with those temperatures all around the region sitting close to freezing temperatures. So across Western Alaska for pretty much this whole work week, expect those temperatures to be at or below freezing. So with those recovery efforts from former Typhoon Halong, we're going to see those freezing conditions. So that's going to affect any low-lying flooding that has already happened and is still draining out. So just keep that in mind. But otherwise, dry conditions moving through. We're also going to have the Aleutians seeing those rainy conditions with those 3 low pressure systems that I had mentioned. So the first one is already moving out and it's already in the Gulf of Alaska. The second one is already starting to move through, and then we have our third moving through Monday night going into Tuesday. So like I had mentioned, 3 low pressure systems is going to bring some rainfall as well as some of those stronger wind gusts, but tomorrow is a fairly moderate day for those conditions. St. Paul's not really seeing any rain, but we still have Adak and Unalaska expected to see some rain with those temperatures in the mid-40s. So South Central is going to see very similar conditions with those temperatures sitting in the mid-40s pretty much across the region. Kodiak is one of those areas that's going to see some rain, but otherwise most of South Central is going to stay pretty dry. The Copper River Basin is going to stay pretty dry as well, but areas like Cordova and Whittier are going to get some rain tomorrow. Mostly cloudy skies otherwise, with those temperatures sitting in the 40s, and this is the same thing to expect for Matsu as well as Anchorage. So temperatures sitting in the low 40s with mostly cloudy skies expected for this work week. So just looking at our 7-day for Anchorage, we're going to have those mostly cloudy skies beginning to move in overnight, and we're also going to have those temperatures dipping down into the low 40s for this week, and those low temperatures sitting close to freezing. And for Fairbanks, we're also going to have those cooler temperatures in the low 30s, with those overnight lows dipping down into the 20s. So it is going to be a pretty chilly work week. We're having those temperatures beginning to dip down into the low 40s. We had been seeing those temperatures sitting in the higher 40s, even close to 50s for the last couple of weeks, but now it's finally starting to cool down just a bit more, but areas like the interior and Western Alaska are also beginning to cool down quite a bit more. So relatively dry conditions from Western Alaska, even into parts of South Central and the interior, but the Aleutians and Southeast expect to have a fairly rainy week ahead of you. So that's what you can expect for your work week. I hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend and a great night tonight, and we will see you back here next weekend.